So good morning everyone. I'm going to do another video and just kind of explain what sort of happened last night with Tropical Cyclone Iris and try to figure out what's going to happen today. So what we're looking at here is the Earth Null School site, and we can see Tropical Cyclone Iris over here. We've got some nice circulation. We've got air coming in from the north, air coming in from the east, and we've got this what looks like some kind of buffer which is stopping it from going west here. All the rain seems to be down south, and that is because of this. If we go over here, we can actually have a look at the different levels of atmosphere. So this is down at the surface, this is moving up, 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 up. Now rain tends to hang around about sort of these sort of two levels, okay, because it's not going to be on the ground, otherwise we call that fog. But here and here is where we tend to see the rain, okay. Now, it hasn't changed on here, but that's because it's only going to show where there is rain. But if we go up here, which tends to be right up top, where you get sort of the top level of a storm cloud. So if you imagine looking at a storm cloud and you see it rise right up into the sky, and then it sort of stops and starts spreading out across the top of it, you're looking at roughly this sort of level here. And if we have a look over at Tropical Cyclone Iris, you'll see that it's not really circulating nicely. It's deformed around here. It's throwing off this here. It will be throwing off cloud to the south, okay, and we've got this other sort of airflow that's blocking that cloud or the rain from getting to the coast. So that explains why we're not getting any rain across Bowen. You see the rain sort of gets almost there, but then starts moving north. A lot of this upper level stuff is not going to reach the ground anyway, because when it's right up high, by the time it reaches the ground, the wind's sort of evaporated it anyway. So here we've got sort of like what we call a ridge of high pressure, and that means that low pressure is not really going to try and climb a mountain, it's going to stay there, which is kind of why it's thought that it's going to drift south, southeast. Now, just on that matter, let's have a look at what Tropical Cyclone Iris did last night. So this is the bomb site of the satellite. Unfortunately, it's not showing me right from late last night, because it had sort of more interesting stuff to have a look at. But the centre of rotation is around about here. And most people sort of think it's over here, but there's some sort of trough happening here. But anyway, the centre of rotation's around here, and we can see that it's tightening up this band of rain here. It's throwing off all that high level cloud down there, as we explained before, and not much of it is coming across the coast here. Okay, so we can see this exploding amount of what they call convection, which is just cloud and heavy cloud or storm clouds, but that's not really going to help the coast much, because most of that's just going to head south. Some of it might hit Mackay. So what we can see here is it's not really moving at all. Now we saw that it looked like it moved southwest. What's actually happening is it's kind of wobbling west. So every time it tries to reform itself, it's kind of like hanging on to a pole. And we've been talking about Iris like she's drunk, and she pretty much is. She's sort of hanging onto a pole and swinging around to the west, and then swinging around to the west, and swinging around to the west. I don't know how many times she's going to do that before she starts heading away. This coast and the reef is all going to have some effect on this side of the cyclone. So it is expected to move further south down here, and then maybe bump up against the coast here, and then there's all sorts of models and all that. And I've seen one this morning that has it coming down here, doing a bit of an Uncle Arthur and rolling up here, and then wandering back here, then melding into the trough up here. Yeah, anything could happen. But if I think back to sort of mid to early March, when I was looking at the trends of what was going to happen in the first week of April, when I first said that Easter was going to be pretty much fine, and then we would have some heavy rain after that, there was no indication that there would be a cyclone at that particular time. It was just indicating that there was going to be some heavy rain. But it was particularly leaning towards heavy rain on around about the 8th, maybe 7th or 8th of April. And it was talking about rain sort of spreading through here, sort of the southern sort of regions, and then moving up the coast. So perhaps the trends are going to be right. Around about the 8th, we might see Tropical Cyclone Iris bump up against the coast here and start moving up, probably as a low, but just dropping some rain and also spreading in further inland here. So that's a possibility. It's on the trends. I trust the trends more than I do the short term, particularly with Tropical Cyclone Iris. She is drunk. She should just go home. Anyway, what else was I going to have a look at? So basically what I was saying here, this is a GFS forecast, and we're looking at the 6th of April here, bumping up against the coast here, and then rolling up the coast and melding into the trough. Now this one over here has been on the radar for a while. It's likely just to roll down Vanuatu and then head down to the graveyard. But again, these are models, and I don't really trust the models at the moment, but I do trust the long-term trends. And this here that I just showed you then is very reminiscent of what the trend was at the long-term end back around mid-March. Okay, so that's all I have to say for the moment, apart from it's probably going to be a pretty much fine day for most of the coast. Mackay might see some good heavy rain later on. If all that rain heads down, it's going to be a little bit windy off the coast, particularly if that the cyclone moves further in towards the coast. Those wind speeds are going to pick up, but pretty much today is not going to be too bad. Tomorrow could be a completely different story. Thank you.